Oh. Good evening, friends. Oh, that was good. This is a bit of a surprise, isn't it? I'm being told what to do. Welcome to Littleport Christian Spiritualists on this Thursday night. Things are going to be slightly different tonight. Just hope you'll still enjoy it. I'm sure you will. And tonight, well, before I tell you that, actually, I just want to tell you something very quickly. Last week, I did a reading about Bumblebee. On the Friday morning, when I'm outside my back door, there was a bumblebee struggling on the ground. I did exactly what I said in my poem, put some sugar water down. Within 5 minutes, it had flown away. Now that for me is just a lovely thing to do. I felt elated. The bumblebee was off and doing what it's got to do. Now that for me is good. So tonight, another good thing is going to happen. We've got a wonderful medium for you, a really, really good friend of this church. Please give a real Littleport welcome and welcome John Ennis. So I've got the bullet points here. As this is a divine service, we will do what we normally do and open in prayer. So I'll hand you over to John for that one. Thank you.
Right, I don't know if they can hear me at home. It is going to be a bit different tonight. For those of you who need your fix of Nick once a week, he's in the background. And believe it or not, in about 5 minutes' time, he'll be bouncing around the floor like he normally does. So enjoy the evening. I've been trusted with the opening prayer tonight. So if you all want to join together, as we say, Heavenly Father, Divine and Gracious Spirit, we thank you for giving us this opportunity to all meet in person here this evening. We respectfully ask that you fill this place with your love and with your light, and also with your healing energies, so that everybody may benefit.
Thank you, John. Right, I've got a few notices for you. On Tuesday, we have got the debate online, Nick's debate online. It's 11 till 2, and I got times right without any prompting. If anybody's interested here, please speak to Nick and he'll be able to tell you. Anybody at home, just message him, he won't mind. And Linda Rose has got something on Monday, and I may have to read it to you because I just can't remember. Yes, this coming Monday is a full moon in Libra with an eclipse connecting to the moon shadows. She has got at her place in, well, wherever it is, Denver. Yeah, she is holding a ceremony, and they're going to be drumming around an open fire. And apparently there'll be a wholesome bowl of veggie stew. And it's £15 per person. That's donation or whatever. If you're interested, please, can you contact Linda? If you don't know, just look on Facebook, you'll find an advert for it. So there are those two messages. The debate, if you haven't been on, and I know somebody has, it is great fun. It is really, really interesting. It's £4? Yes. £4. And we have a laugh and we wind him up, so it's worth doing. Now, the other thing I've got to tell you, which is security. If you see the chairs start moving, the curtains twitching, the lights flashing, the exits are here, here, and there, although I can't see any there, but that's what he always does. And if you really are worried about it, just look at Nick, follow him, because he'll be the first one out of those doors. Talking about Nick, you probably thought you'd escaped, because he's sitting quietly up the corner. And you thought, no philosophy tonight. Sorry, you're wrong. So can I now hand you over to our lovely Reverend Nick for his words of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I get to say it after all, but didn't she do well? Good evening, friends! I know, but I ain't, so I get to do it now. And hello to everyone online. See, I am looking after you when the microphone accidentally went off. One of the things about philosophy in a church is that we look for the synchronicities. We look for those little connections throughout our week. If Eunice had been doing the philosophy, she would have been doing the philosophy like other churches do, and that's have the reading followed by the philosophy, but it would have been a week apart. We do things back to front because normally, we have the philosophy and then we have a reading and we see if it's tied in together. But for 1 week only, I actually know what the reading's going to be. And the reason is because that reading was given to me by Spirit, by a friend, and was part of those little synchronicities that we see and experience through the week as we get ready to speak. I have had what might be described as an absolute ticking off this week by Spirit. And I don't mind admitting it, because one thing I never want is for people to set me apart. Now, you guys here, and all of you that we frequently speak at home, you'd never do that because you know my quirks, you know my idiosyncrasies, you know that I'm just an ordinary person. But sometimes in this way of life, we can get a little bit lost and sometimes lose ourselves. And that can take you on one of two paths. You can buy into your own publicity, or you can start dismissing it. And I have to confess that I've been told off this week for the latter, dismissing it. It's come to me via a reading from a friend. It's come to me in words spoken by those who I share my time with. And it's come to me absolutely from Spirit. Because the more I try and shy away from things, the more I start to forget the lessons that I teach each week. What is the old saying? Practice what you preach. All the time I'm saying you are part of something wonderful. You are a voice that should be heard. And I confess I've dismissed my ability to be heard. In spite of anyone, even whether they've got hearing aids or not on a Thursday night, not being able to recover for 5 minutes for the ringing of their ears when I start with good evening, friends. But I have dismissed my own part in the story. It's easy to do. And it's totally understandable. But sometimes you've just got to dust yourself down, get off your backside, and start realizing that whether it's the caterer, the sound guy, whether it's someone holding an auto cue, whether it's someone shining a light, whether it's a script writer, whether it's an actor, or whether it's a cameraman, or whether it's the person who stands behind the camera and shouts action. A production is the sum of all of its parts. In this life, we are all the sum of our tears. Too many and the best of us is washed away. Too few and the ground is infertile and nothing can grow. But what I do know is that unless we take the opportunity to sit back and smell the roses, to listen to the word of Spirit and share it with all those that might listen, we're going to miss out on something wonderful. We must make our voices heard. We must raise up ourselves and realize that we are all equally part of that tapestry. And I apologize to you all, because as much as I have said this over and over again, there's been one person who's not entirely been believing it. Me. But I've had my kicking from Spirit. I've had me rollicking from my guides, and I've seen the synchronicities of Spirit that have taught me that I've got just as much right to speak as anyone else. Because this week, unlike other weeks, I've seen something on Facebook that I've really quite liked. Normally I'm up here, oh, I've seen this and I'm going to have a grumble about it. I'm in a mood. Here we go. Stomp, 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 stomp. Put your foot down, get in a paddy. I've seen something I love. Because it reminded me that Spirit have been trying to tell me what to do for a long time. If anyone hasn't seen it, there is a post going round, doing the rounds, about Einstein talking about light and darkness. And that how light is substance and absence is darkness. And that absence and darkness have no power, have no substance, and therefore will never beat the light. Eunice mentioned the debates. There's also a workshop coming up in a couple of weeks too. Anyone who's ever been to them will have heard me say, light is a presence, darkness is an absence. So I did a little bit of digging, and Spirit gave me those words in 2015, 9 years ago. So maybe I should do a little bit more listening to what they're telling me and do a little bit more speaking of what they're telling me, because it's not about me. It's about the needs of each of us. And we can all support and help each other. Because it's the moments that matter. The past tempts us. The future frightens us. And all the time, the present is lost in between the two. but it is the moments that matter. It's the moment now that we can make a difference to ourselves and each other. It really is time to smell the roses. So I call out to all those who have ever doubted themselves. I call out to all those who have ever been in fear. Don't take it from me. You'll miss out on the moments. And they are what matter. And they are what Spirit wants us to take advantage of. But you don't have to take my word for that. But you'll find out a little bit more about that in the reading. So thank you all for listening, and God bless you all.
Are you ready for the read? Ready. And now we're going to have a reading. This will be different to what we normally get because it will be on screen.
Tonight's reading is Summer of Our Lives by John Reed. Stop and smell the roses, summer's sweet perfume, a place to view the daffodils, God's nature all in bloom. Sit beneath the willow tree, sheltered from the sun, a wish of every bough, where all our dreams begun. Listen for all the sounds as summer plays its tune, an orchestra of angels, flowers all in bloom. Birds singing in the treetops in perfect harmony, all creatures great and small, God's greatest symphony. Be amazed by all God's beauty, make each precious moment last, a moment to capture and treasure, a golden memory for your past. Stop and smell the roses like summer's sweet perfume. Take time to view the daffodils, for it's over all too soon. Thank you.
Those of you who don't know, that was Reverend Alan. He always used to do the readings, and they were always quite poignant, as that one was. So thank you, Alan. I'm sure he's still here. He does occasionally create a little bit of mischief, and he still does wind me up a bit. Bless him. So now I'll hand you over to Tony for some healing. He is our healing lead, and he will give you all the information you require. So if we can please welcome to the front, Tony. I'll try to be awkward.
Just thank you. Always a problem working with your wife. Yes, right. A few words as ever. Those of us that follow and enjoy this way of life have one thing in common, and that is our desire and our need to give some healing. And in this place, it's more preeminent than anything else. But before we move into that, as we tried to start last week, I'm sure this is half a village, but never mind. Would you please give your healing thoughts to the following: Nugget, Teresa, April, Jeffrey, Bex, Phoebe, Abby, Chloe, Arthur, Albert, Wendy, Nell, Sarah, Rusty, Pat, Kathy and David, Roger and Sheila, Alan, Marquez, Philip, Paul, Ivor, Stuart, Reverend Tony, Kiona, Tina, Helen and Barry. And apart from all those, would you please also remember in your thoughts those that can't ask for themselves, those that have nobody to ask for themselves. So healers, prepare yourselves. If you'd like some healing, please raise a hand. Thank you. If you are a healer, please find a hand that's raised. Right, I'll go and do Linda, that's fine. Healers, yes. Please carry on. Great Spirit, send your healing powers down through our healers and do it now. Thank you. Healers, can you pull yourselves back, please? And I thank you. And as I say every week, thanks to those of you that asked for more than one reason.
Thank you, Tony. Yes, that healing is a very important part of what we do here. So thank you for those who asked, and thank you for those who joined in. If anybody couldn't quite hear what Alan was saying, Nick has very kindly said he's going to post it, so you'll be able to see it. And it is really worth listening to. So thank you, Tony. Thank you, Nick. Now we come to another very important part of our service, the part which shows us that life is indeed eternal, that spirits will come through to us and give us comfort and love. So with no more ado from me, I will hand you over to our medium for this evening, which is the wonderful John Ennis.
All right. Okie dokie dokie. Right, most of you have seen me before. I'm always amazed that I've never blown this microphone up, because me and electronics do not get on when I'm working with spirit. You can ask Barbara. I blow her stereo up every time I go there. So for those of you who haven't seen me before, if you see me going out the door, followed by Nick, please follow us, because it means we don't know what the hell is going on. So to be safe, then sorry. Just please, those who haven't seen me before, just think outside of the box, because I can't guarantee who's going to come through for you tonight. So just be open-minded. Likewise, if you want a message from somebody specific, stop thinking of them, because they know you, they don't know me. They'll sit with you all night long, and then you won't get the message that you want. So we'll see what happens. Normally I know where I'm going, so we'll just see. Well, hang on. All right, I'll ask you. Nick, have we got anybody on from America tonight? No. That's all right then. It's all right. I've got somebody bugging me from something to do with America. Do you understand that? Yes. Would you understand the name John, but his proper name is Jonathan, but it's spelt Jon?
I don't know the spelling. Oh, yeah, it is.
It's spelt Jon. Would you also understand a Mary, a Sue, and an Ellen? Yes. Not a Helen, Ellen. Ellen. Right. If you know where, I don't know where all this is taking me, but what they're saying is, whoever it is who's worrying doesn't need to. I'm not going to say it's a quick fix, but like in the song, it's a long and winding road, but there's always the gold post at the end of it. So it's just a case of being patient, and as long as they're patient, they'll get to where they need to be, and everything will sort itself out. And I don't know if it's Ellen or somebody else, but one of them there is on about moving house also. It will happen, but everything's not in sequence at the minute. So once these all start knitting together, it'll all get sorted out. But we're looking September onwards. I can't see it settling before that, because there's a lot going on in the families, and there's a lot going on surrounding the families. So everything, if you like, all the loose ends have got to be tied up first. That makes sense? Right, I'll leave all that one with you. If I don't get them out, you see, I can't carry on. And Spirit knew that there was a link somewhere. So we'll just go with it and we'll see what happens. Can I go to the lady at the back with, is it a greeny top on? I've got a gentleman who's coming in for you. And as this gentleman comes in, he just wants to wrap his arms around you. And he's going, I've not been around you for a while. He says, so I thought I'd make the exception tonight. But he does come through with a great deal of love for you and a lot of support coming to you. He's also saying as well that it's nice to see that you're moving on, but more importantly, you're making lots of new friends, because he said it's not been easy for you to come out of your shell. I'm not saying you're very old-fashioned and very set in your ways, but he's saying it's been hard for you. But he's saying you're getting there and you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. There is a younger gentleman coming in now, and I'm not here to upset you, but would you understand the son in spirit? Sorry. He comes in and he's just saying, I never said it enough when I was here. He says, but I do love you to bits. He says, and I always have done. He said he's sorry that he passed the way that he did. He says, but it was just one of them things. He says, and it's very hard to cope. But he's saying you took it one day at a time, and slowly but surely you got stronger and stronger and stronger. And he's saying, you quite, oh, okay. He says, you quite often think of him. He says, I don't want to say you've changed his bedroom or anything like that, but I know you sit in the bedroom and talk to him. He says, I answer you back as well, you know. He says, the only trouble is, he says, you've not changed. I said, what do you mean she's not changed? He says, once she starts, you can't stop her. He says, she keeps going till the battery runs flat. But he's saying he'll always be there for you, and he'll always help you as much as he can. He's the one who's been pushing you in a different direction this last week or so, because you're going right outside your comfort zone at the minute, and it's him that's doing it, because he's saying he knows you can do it, and he's going to keep pushing you and keep pushing you. But he is coming through with a great deal of strength for you and a great deal of love. He's also saying as well that you at times need to put your feet up. He says, because you're still running around everywhere at 90 miles an hour. Right, I don't know what the relationship is with the gentleman, but he's coming in around you, and he wants to thank you for being the strong one. He says, you were always the strong, silent type. He says, but you've got a knack of saying the right thing at the right time. He's also saying as well, you may not like this. He says, but I'm more like you than you'll ever realise. Okay. He's on about a train set. Would you happen to still have his train set up in the attic or in the loft? Because he's showing me a wind-up train set, not an electric one, it's a wind-up one, and he's also showing me a car racing set as well. But these are all memory links for you. He's also saying for you, sir, as well, he's saying there's light at the end of the tunnel for you. So whatever you've been going through, he says, you're coming out the other end. He says, and you've got a lot to look forward to. But likewise, he is always here to support you as well. And he does, okay, right, I've got to get this bit right. To the lady, a lot of love and a lot of support. To the gentleman, a lot of strength and a lot of guidance. Now, please take this the right way. I don't know if he was taller than you. He's tapping you on the, he's telling me he's slapping you on the top of the head. Right, I'm saying tapping, but he's saying no slapping. I can't say that because I've got as little hair as he has. Okay. He's just saying slapheads. Yeah, as long as you understand it. It's not very funny. I says, I can't call you that because I ain't got none on the top neither. But he's telling me I've got to. So I'm going to leave all that with the two of you and just say thank you very much. Can I go to the lady with the brown scarf on, please? As I'm with you, I've got a lady coming in for you. In fact, I've got two ladies coming in for you. The first lady, she comes in, she's about 5'4", 5'5". She's quite a cuddly lady. She's very much a down-to-earth type lady as well. My lower legs, my legs and my feet are starting to swell up. So if she was around today, they'd say it was fluid retention and everything else. She's going, I always had big feet there. She's not big feet in big feet, but swollen feet. But she's saying she was always on her feet. She'd be up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. She wouldn't go to bed till 11, 12 o'clock at night, and then it was the same again. She's chucking flour around all over the place. That's for me, not for you, because that shows me that she's a very good baker. And also, she was very happy in her, okay. She's calling it a scullery. I was going to call it the kitchen, but she's calling it the scullery. And she was at her happiest when she could see the children being happy. But she comes in around you because she's saying there's a lot, you've had to deal with a lot of changes this year already. But she's saying in your true spirit, you don't let anybody see how it's affecting you, and you deal with it head on. Although some of the issues you've had to be very careful with, but she says you're getting there. Most of them you've tied up all the loose ends. There's still one or two left for you. But she's saying for the rest of this year, you've got a lot to look forward to. The new beginnings that you're craving, you can only have them when you start the ball rolling. So it's no good you sitting there going, oh, I could do with a fortnight in the sun. Oh, I'd like a new car. Oh, I'd like somebody to come and decorate my house for me. Or I'd like a new house. If you want all them things, you've got to start the ball rolling yourself. Spirit can only do so much. You've got to do the rest. So, yes, there is a lot of opportunity there for you. The other lady who comes in now, she's about 5'8". She's about my height, about 5'8". She's got longish hair. I do see it down on her shoulders. It's not straight. It's got like natural waves in it. But I want to say it's very thick hair as well. Oh, it's all right. They've rephrased it because they just said you're thick like you are, but it's thick like your hair is what they're meaning. But as this lady comes in, I do feel with this lady, don't get me wrong, she was good in the home, but she was very good in the workplace as well, because I've got to say she's a very, very clever lady. And she said, why are you hiding your talents under a bushel? She says, you're a very clever lady. She says, but you don't like letting on to people. And she says, you should use your gift and your talent more. So she wants you to get out there and start, shall we say, fulfilling the dreams and the ambitions that you had when you were younger. Because she says you can still do it, but you don't, because you've had, I'm going to say when you were 18, 19, you had some knockbacks. In your mid-20s, you had some knockbacks. And right up till today now, those are living with you. You've not actually put them to bed yet. And she's saying you need to put them to bed to enable you to move on. What she's saying is you've got a really good support network around you now. And you have actually got true friends. But at times you think, they're all going to go away and leave me. No, they're not. They're going to be there for you. And she's just saying as well, I mean, I don't know how long you've been coming here or anything else, but what she's saying is you've got a bigger family inside these four walls than you've got outside of it. So she says, this family won't let you down, and the other families won't let you down. So she wants you to set that ball rolling and start moving on. And as you do, just take everything in your stride. There is a couple of little obstacles, but you won't even notice them because you'll just head first, stride on, deal with it, carry on. So lots of opportunities for you this year and more opportunities again next year for you. I don't know why, but I need to give you a newer car. But this should be out of necessity rather than just wanting one. So I do see a lot of travelling for you, whether this is to do with your current employment or future employment or just helping others, I don't know, but you're a newer car. So it's out of necessity rather than need. I need to give you as a memory link, mint Tutti Fruities. I don't know if you're old enough. Do you remember Tutti Fruities? Well, the mint ones. And I also need to give you a toffee crisp. And which one is it? Yeah, I know what that one is. What's the other one? Okay. It's all right. They keep showing me these dolls and they all look the same to me. I need to give you a tiny tears doll that used to cry, but they never told you where to put the water, so you could never work out how others could get it to cry and you couldn't. And I've got to give you a Cindy doll. But you screamed the place down because you wanted a Barbie doll. But they went, well, we didn't have enough money to get a Barbie doll, so you had to make do with a Cindy doll. Yeah. So they're just all memory links for you. So I'm going to leave all their love, strength and support with you and say thank you very much. Can I go to the lady with the stripy top on, please? As I'm with you, I've got a lady coming in for you. Now, as this lady comes in, she's about 5'5", 5'6", so she comes up to about here on me. She's not an overly big lady, but she's not a skinny lady neither. But I've got to say with this lady, she speaks her mind. She doesn't hold back, but she says she's not here to tell you off. She's here to say you're doing the right thing. You're looking after yourself a lot better. You're helping yourself, which is important, because you spent a lot of time helping others, but you've realised that you can't help everybody unless you help yourself. And she's saying, because you're helping yourself now, it will stand you in good stead to help the others that you like helping. She's also telling me as well that you've been bringing about a lot of changes at home and lots of changes regarding the family as well. But she's saying it all needed doing, and you're doing it all for the right reasons. Also, unless you've done it in the last couple of days, she wants you to book a holiday for yourself. She says you've been promising yourself a holiday for the last 3 years and you're still not booked one. So she says she wants you to book the holiday. She says she's not bothered if it's just a weekend, a long weekend, or if it's a week or a fortnight. She says you need to have that break. She says because it's all part of recharging them batteries up for you. Also, she's saying as well, if you want to revisit places from your childhood, that's up to you. But likewise, if you want to try something new and different, then go for it. But she does come through with a great deal of love for you. I know she showed love and affection when she was down here, but I also know that she had to be a very strong lady at the same time, which... It didn't go against her grain, but she knew she had to be strong to keep everybody together. She's also making me aware as well that there is some breaks in the family, but over time these are gradually starting to come back together again. And she's saying by the end of the year, I'm not saying all the links will be 100%, but they'll be well on the way to being 100%. There's a gentleman who comes in now. Now, as this gentleman comes in, he's a little bit taller than me. I'm struggling at the minute to get my words out with him because I just feel I'm a little bit confused. But he's saying it didn't bother him because he makes me very aware that he was like the strong, silent type. He just sat there. But then he's going, when you've got as many children and women in the house as I had, he says, you never get a word in edgeways anyway. But he's around you just giving you a little bit of upliftment. Because he says, it's all right you hearing from these women all the time. He says, but they tell you the same thing. He says, so I'm coming in now just to give you a little bit of strength. He wants you to know how proud of you he is. He says he was always proud of you. He didn't always show it, but I do feel with him, he's like old school. He was very much a man's man. He was more comfortable in he was more comfortable with male company than he was with women and children. So he was a little bit out of his depth at home. But get him out of the home and he was a completely different person altogether. But as we say, you always knew that he had a soft spot for you, and he's still got that soft spot for you now. So I'm going to leave all these strength and love with you, and the lady a lot of strength and love also, and just say thank you very much. Can I go to the lady with it? Is it a greeny black coat with the brown cuffs? Yeah, you don't panic. Right. The only person who's got a panic is me, because I don't know who's talking to me. Right. Come on, make your mind up quick. I've got a pain. Right. The one with the pain, please. Okay. It's a gentleman. And as this gentleman's coming in, I've got a real tightness in my chest with him. But I've got to say I've got issues around the heart area with him. And that's why I've got to let him come through first, because if not, I'll have another heart attack, and I don't want any more heart attacks. And as this gentleman's coming in, and he's putting his arms around you. But also, please take this the right way. He says, you need to kick up the bum. He says, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, are you? You keep saying, I'm not clever enough. I can't do this, I can't do that. He says, I wouldn't be so bad. He says, but you've been saying, I can't do this and I can't do that since I was 4 years of age. He says, and you're still saying it. He says, how the heck can you know that you can't do it? Because you've never tried it. So he says, you've got to get on with it. He says, it's like you said, I don't like cauliflower, but I'll eat broccoli. It's exactly the same thing. It's just one's green, one's white. How do you know you don't like cauliflower? You've never tasted it. So, but I've got to say with this gentleman, he can be quite a character as well. But he wants you to stop being on your high horse all the time. He says he wants you to chill out and relax a little bit. He says, but then there's chilling out and there's being lazy. He says, and there's a very thin line between the two. So he says, chilling out is chilling out. But when you're chilling out, that does not mean to say that you can't hoover the carpet, do the washing up, cook something, make a cup of tea. You're not to expect everybody to wait on your hand and foot all the time. But what he's here for now, he wants you to give yourself a good shaking and pursue the career that you've always wanted. Yes, I know there's some studying involved, but he's saying you do it because he's got every faith in you. In actual fact, he's got more faith in you than you've got in yourself. But he's always had more faith in you. Right, I'm not opening this up because there's too many people here. Use your experiences from 11 years of age up to today to find that career. But don't use it as an excuse not to get the career. Use it as the excuse to get it. Do you understand that? Because you can help more people. And if there's qualifications needed, all this sort of stuff, remember, there's more apprenticeships out there than you realise. And if you can sell yourself, believe me, common sense cannot be taught. And you've got common sense by the bucket load. Although you say you haven't, you have. Because the people around you support you immensely. Right, there's a lady coming in for you now. Now, as this lady comes in, I'm getting a grandmother vibration with this lady, but I don't know which side of the family it is because I'm not getting a motherly bond. So I'm just going to say a grandmother. So it could be mum's side, it could be dad's side. But as this grandmother's coming in, she's really, really busy around you. Please take this the right way. I'm not a makeup artist, so I haven't got the faintest idea. But she's just saying you don't need no war paint. She says you're good looking enough without it. She says, besides which, you start putting war paint on, she says your eczema will start playing you up. So I don't know if you have dry skin problems or whatever, but she's saying if you put too much makeup on, it'll all start flaring up again. But she says you don't need it. She's also saying as well that you've done right in the past by putting a barrier up and only letting people see what you want them to see. She said, but it slipped recently. She says, and this is why some people are getting in around the corner. I don't want to say they're taking advantage, but they're trying to. But she's saying the majority of people around you at this moment in time are very good and they're very supportive of you. And they'll continue to be very supportive of you. I don't know what the relationship is between you and the lady on your right, but the lady on your right has always been a very good support network for you. But what's important, the lady's telling me, you need to listen to what that lady's telling you. She's not telling you it for her own health. She's telling you it for your health. She can see the potential you've got, and she can see where you can go. It does help that she can do what I can do and what Barbara can do. Although she says she can't, we all know that she can. There's no good hiding here. Clocked it? He clocked it. Tough. One thing to remember, you can hide from John, you can't hide from John the medium. You can hide from Nick, but you can't hide from Nick the medium. Like it's in address, we're nothing special, and we're not. Because it's the people that we can't see who tell us all this information, and we just chuck it out there. It's not my fault Nick's listening and he's going, oh, my little black book's out, here we go. Yeah, so the lady sat next to you gives you guidance, and she's giving you that extra support. So you do need to listen. But I've got to say that you two now have got a stronger relationship than you've had for a long time. And that is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. But you just need to believe in yourself and trust yourself again, because you've not done that for a long time. If you listen to what the lady's saying, and you've got a younger girlfriend and a younger male friend that you trust, and they're telling you exactly the same as that lady's telling you. So 3 against 1. They can't all be wrong, so it's got to be you that's wrong and they're all right. So you need to listen and go with it, okay? But lots of opportunities there for you this year. So I'm going to leave all their love, strength and support with you and say thank you very much. I'm going to jump to the lady next to you, because there's a lady stood behind you and she's been stood patiently behind you all night long. And she's coming in and she's just saying, I wasn't always there for you when you were growing up. But she's saying in her twilight years, you were the one that was always there for her. And she says, you never asked any questions and nothing was ever too much trouble. And she said, you were put into situations that you should never have been put into. She says, but you just took it all in your stride. But she comes through and she wants you to know that there's so much love coming to you. She says, because she never showed you enough of it when she was here. She's also saying as well, she's sorry about all the mess that she left behind. She says, I know everyone had been telling me for the 20 years previous to get myself sorted out, but I never did get round to it. She says, but everybody got there in the end. She says, the only trouble was there was knickknacks that you lot found that I didn't even know I had. But she's saying that was her. Because I'm not saying she was a hoarder, but she picked things up. Oh, yeah, that's nice. And then she forget where she put them, and something to get put on the top. But she does come in, as I say, she comes in with a great deal of strength and love for you. Well, I don't know if you would understand this. Would you understand connections to Southern Ireland? Not the top of your head. Look on the male side of the family rather than the female side. If it's not you, somebody close to you is doing a family history or a family tree, they'll find out where the Irish connection is. It will take a little bit of time, because finding connections in Ireland is very, very hard, because they change their boundaries more than we do. But there is connections there. There is a gentleman who just wants to come in as well. With this gentleman, I know he passed the spirit earlier than he should have done. I do get a tightness in the chest with him, but I want to say I've got more problems down below. So in the lower stomach, possibly even the prostrate. So it's like a cancer type condition with this gentleman. Would he have lasted longer if he'd have gone to the doctors? No, because he says he didn't even know he was ill. He just kept going and going and going, and then suddenly he just couldn't move. And he says it was a matter of weeks rather than years. But he comes in, and as I say, he does come in with a lot of love for you. But please take this the right way. He's just saying, I can't believe that you turned out to be a lady. Yeah. He says, because the way you used to rip your dogs to pieces, he says, and what you used to do with action men, he says, and the amount of times you caused more trouble climbing the trees than the boys did. Oh, okay. Right. And what's this about blaming the boys for nicking the wheels off the prams to make the go-karts, and it was you that was pinching the wheels, not the boys? So there are memory links for you, but at the same time, he wants you to enjoy life. He says, because he's not seen you smile enough recently, because he's saying you can fool some of the people, but you can't fool the majority of people, because they know what is a false smile and what is a real smile. And he wants to see you really smiling again, really enjoying it. If it helps you at all, the place you've been, you've left it behind. You understand that? And it's all about you now. Obviously, we can't predict what's happening, but you can control what's coming. And he wants you to get out there and start controlling it again. Don't let it control you like it did in the past. You've got to control it. But a lot of God, he's not going to give you guidance, he says, because you don't need it. He says, besides which, he says, you never listened to him when he was down here, so why would you listen to him now that he's up there? Right. He's also saying as well, he can't believe you've still got all your own teeth. He says, because the amount of sugar that you used to eat as a child, he says, but he says, you're as bad now. I says, why? He says, just give her a box of Mars bars. I went, don't you mean one? He says, no, give her a whole box full. He said, it might last her a week. I went, why? She got a sweet tooth? He says, yeah, she has got a sweet tooth. He says, but it will take her a bit longer because she doesn't like the caramel. She likes the chocolate and she likes the soft bit on the bottom, but she struggles a bit with the caramel. Oh, okay. He says, if it helps, put them in the freezer. He says, and the chocolate and the other bit will soften before the caramel does. So you can eat all that and then chuck the caramel in the bin. Or if you run out in the cupboard, put them on a baking tray and then you can use it as icing on top of cakes. So from him, as I say, a lot of strength and a lot of support from the lady in spirit, a lot of love, and a very big thank you for everything that you did for her. And I'll leave all that one with you and say thank you very much. Can I go to the lady with the black and grey, please? As I'm with you, I've got a gentleman coming in for you. Do you want to wait? He's going to wait a minute. I'm bringing a lady forward for you first. And as this lady comes in, she's coming in. She says, I should really wrap my arms around her and give her a cuddle. I went, really? She says, yeah. She says, but the way she's playing up recently, she says she's more likely to go over my knee. I went, why? She says, she's all lure unto herself, that one. She says, don't get me wrong, it's not a case that you put yourself first, but you like to look after yourself first, and then you help others afterwards. But she's saying you needed to take charge again. She said, I'm not saying, well, she's saying you were in a spiral, and you could have gone down or you could have gone up, but you grabbed hold of yourself at the right time, and you come up and you come out of it. And she's saying that you can see life a lot clearer. You can see your future a lot clearer. No, you can't see money because they don't show us money. But you can see what direction you need to go in. But what she's saying is, stop listening to the gossips. You know what's right, and you know what direction you want to go in. Those that are closest to you will continue to support you. And that's all you need to worry about. So if you're looking at changing a career, if you're looking at moving house, even if you're looking at relocating out of the area, it's your life, it's your choice. It doesn't matter what other people say. But those that are around you and who know you will always be there to support you. I don't know why, but I've got to give you the Barbie movie. Why? She's saying she says she doesn't know whether to laugh or to cry at it. You should not make silly jokes in front of smaller children. The plastic dolls. They might be real people, but they are supposed to be plastic dolls. So you shouldn't take the mickey. It's all right taking the mickey if you've got adults behind, adults in front, and adults each side, but you had kids all around you. I know you could see the funny side of it. I can't judge because I not really see it, so I wouldn't know. I don't even know where the picture house is, never mind anything else. Yeah, so it's about you. You now, although now that you're trusting yourself and now that you've got your mojo back, now you need to start pushing yourself. It's all right just going along with the flow. Now's the time for you, instead of being in the middle or at the back, to push yourself to the front. And you need to start making all these choices and making all these decisions. And when you do, you'll get to where you need to go. The gentleman who's coming in now, he's about my height. He's got darkish hair. He dresses casually, but he can dress quite smartly when he wants to. But with this gentleman, he's telling me off because I've got a tie on, because he could not wear a tie. Because he always felt as if he was choking. So even if he went to weddings or funerals, he'd always have his top button undone and his tie would be down here somewhere. And then the minute the service had finished, one it was off and in his pocket. You don't look old enough, but I've got to give you, because that's what they're giving me, Park Drive cigarettes. Park Drive cigarettes. They're plain cigarettes. No, in other words, they have no tips on the end of them. You don't look old enough. You'd have to Google it or ask somebody. All I can tell you is it's a packet about that long by about that high. It's white and it's got Park Drive written in red and gold letters. Oh. It's all right. As long as you understand it. That's the main thing. Yes, the Park Drive cigarettes. I've also got to give, you're a bit like me, walnut whips, but you don't like the walnut on the top. You just eat the chocolate and the bit in the middle. That's what I do, and I flick the nuts out the window. But nowadays you can get the whip part without the walnut on them. So I need to give you them as well. I also need to give you, well, they're giving me a memory link, so I don't know if this is yours or not. I've got a 3-wheeler trike bicycle. Right. I'm not saying you're evil Knievel or anything like that, but they're making me very aware that you were lethal on this little tricycle. Because you used to run people over. And so, well, it's not my fault they didn't get out of the way. Just think about it. But, yeah. So I've got somebody else wanting to come in. They don't know whether to come in or not. Right. I'm going to bring a young man in for you. And he just wants to put his arms around you. He just wants to say, I'm looking out for you. I know all he's telling me is it was a big shock to everybody when he went. But he's saying it was a big shock to him as well. But he's just saying he watches over you. Because you're not that old, so I don't know what he's getting at, but he's saying in your younger days, you were a law unto yourself. Where you'd normally go round in a group, you were quite happy just going off on your own at times. So he says, at times you can still be the same. He says, so he watches over you to make sure no harm's coming to you. But he just wants to say to you that he's all right and he got over there all right. And he's just saying life for you is all about living. never have any regrets. So, and he's just saying, make the most of it. So I'm going to leave all that with you and say thank you very much. Can I go to the lady with the lime green trousers on? As I'm with you, okay. The gentleman's coming forward first because he's saying if the women come in, he won't get a word in edgeways. But as this gentleman comes in, I've got a lot of tightness in my chest with him. And I am really struggling with my breathing. But he's going from, it's like watching a medical program on the telly. He's going from top to toe. He's going, headaches, bad set stomach. I said, why, what do you mean? He said, well, I want to eat it. He said, but if I eat it, he says, all I get is terrible indigestion and heartburn. And then he's going, and then he says, my poor old knees started giving in on me as well. He says, but there again, he says, the job I had, he says, I'm surprised my knees lasted as long as they did. But he comes in around you because he's saying, stop worrying, girl, stop worrying. He's going, everything's going to be all right. He's saying, you've put a lot of things on hold for the last 18 months. He says, well, now's the time to take them off hold. He says, and start moving on and moving forwards. I don't know how much money you've got, but he says, you need to book that ticket to America. He says, and if you want to visit your relatives, is it Australia? I don't know, it might be both. I've got Australia and New Zealand. He's showing me both of them. They're saying, you've got to go for it. But he's also saying, okay, right. I'm seeing lots of children around you, but these children I'm seeing I'm not very good at ages, so I'm asking spirit. So all I'm going to say is 14 to 18-year-olds, rather than the younger ones. So whether it's you're working in a secondary school or you're thinking about going into a secondary school, but this is what they're showing me for you. But they're saying there's lots of opportunities, but there's lots of different career paths that you can take. It's just whether you want to. Because your problem is, you're like somebody else, you don't always believe in yourself. Others can see what you've got, others can see the ability that you've got, but you can't see it yourself. But this stems back to when you were 14 to 16, and your so-called mates used to put you down all the time, but that was because they were jealous of you because you were a lot cleverer than they were. But when you left school, bang, 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 they're all gone and you're on your own. But now, it's not a case of having regrets, because you should never have regrets, because it was all part of learning. And you've learnt a lot of lessons. The thing is, you're still learning lessons. So it's all about now moving on and moving forwards. Also, as well, I need to give you a fountain pen and I need to give you a notebook, because they're saying you need to start writing. But it has to be a fountain pen. I says, why? He says, because she writes like a doctor. She says, and she writes things down, and she looks at it the following day, she won't be able to read it back because she can't read her own handwriting. So they're saying you'd have to write in fountain pen because it's the only way you'll be able to read. I don't know what you're writing down. They're just saying you need to start writing things down. Also, as well, you're not very good at decorating. And they know you want the house decorating, so get somebody in to do it and you book yourself away for the weekend and let them get on with it. All you need to do is buy the wallpaper or the paint and go, that room's that colour, that room's that colour, that room's that colour. When you come back on the Sunday night and you go, oh, I don't like it, tough, you pick the paint, so it's your fault, not the blokes who put it on the wall. So they're saying get somebody in. This is because if you do it, you'll spend more time going backwards and forwards to the hardware shop, swapping your paint all the time. Why have you got more test tickets than the hardware shops have got? Why have you got more paint test tickets than the shops have got? I know you can't make your mind up. You paint who? No, I'm on about your house. I can see loads of tins of paint anyway. There must be enamel paints that's in your house then, are they? The little enamel that the blokes use for Airfix models? No? Right. But they're on about decorating your house anyway. But don't you do it, because we were still having this conversation this time next year if you were doing it. That's what I mean. We'll still be having the conversation this time next year. Make your mind up, get somebody in to do it for you. But he's saying, you'll get there, you'll get there. There's a lady who comes in for you as well now. Now, as this lady comes in, she's about 5'1", 5'2". She's quite a rounded lady. She very much knows her own mind. She's not for being answered back. She says, you're like that. You don't like people answering you back neither. She says, because you're so like her, you're always right and everybody else is wrong. And even when you're proven wrong, you're still always right, because you said it. But she's saying, what she's saying is, like the gentleman said, there's lots of opportunities there for you this year. You've just got to realise, you need to sit yourself down and decide which pathway you want to go on, because there's lots of pathways there for you. I don't know if you're already speaking to him or not, but you do need to speak to Nick or Eunice, because you need to fulfill your spiritual pathway also, because you've been sat on the sidelines long enough now. You need to get on with it. I'm not going to tell you what pathway it is, because that's up to Nick and Eunice to decide. But there's lots of choices out there for you. But always remember, it's free will. If it doesn't fit right with you, then you don't do it. But as those who've been around spiritualism a long time, once they get their claws into you, they'll soon put you on that right path. That's the nicest way of putting it. But no, there is a lot of love coming to you, and there's a lot of support as well. But they just want you to start believing in yourself and start doing what you need to do. So I'm going to leave all that with you and say thank you very much. Can I go to the gentleman at the back, sir, with, is it a purpley t-shirt? As I'm with you, sir, there is a gentleman here, but I need to bring a lady forward first for you. And as this lady comes in, she just wants to put her arms around you and to give you a cuddle, because she's saying she wasn't always there for you as you were growing up. But she says, I'm here for you now. And she's saying she knows that you're fiercely independent and you don't like people fussing around you. And she's saying that's standing you in good stead. But she's also saying as well, sir, for you, that this year there is more opportunities for you this year than any other year. And I'm going, well, what are you on about? She says, you've got a very active imagination. So whether it's writing stories, painting pictures, doing sketches, she says there's lots of beginnings there for you. She says, because you're a gentleman who likes these to be kept occupied and this to be kept occupied. And she says, you'll find what you're most comfortable with. And she says, you will find it. She says, you've dabbled in a couple of bits, but you weren't really sure. She says, go back again and have another look. She says, because there is more opportunities out there for you. There's a gentleman who comes in now. Now, as this gentleman comes in, I'm getting a fatherly vibration, but I don't feel that he was a father as such. So that would normally mean that he wasn't around, or he wasn't the loving, caring type father. He could. Got to get this right. I'm going to put it down as he was. Can't say that. Right. I'm going to say that he liked to drink, but drink could change his personality. Would you understand that? Do you understand it? I'm just getting it. He was a very hard disciplinarian anyway. But he comes around you, because what he's saying for you, sir, is you've had to work very hard for everything that you've got in life. He said, and the people that are closest to you respect you for it. And you don't ask for anything back in return. You do what you need to do, and you're moving on and moving forwards. I don't know if spiritualism is new to you at the moment, or if you've known about it for a while. What I'm going to say is that spirit are always very active around you. And it's up to you what you wish to do with it. But there will be opportunities out there for you to do whichever pathway that you're guided along to do. I know I've said about the writing and the painting. That could be on the earthly side, but it could also be on your spiritual side. So it's a balancing act. It's just finding out what is right for you. But you will find the right choices. Please take this the right way. There's another lady who's coming in. I feel a grandmother more than a mother. And she's just saying, sir, that there may be hospital visits later in the year, but nothing serious, and it's nothing to worry about. But whatever it is that you're asking for, or whatever it is the doctors are asking for, between the two of you, you'll get it all sorted out anyway, which he says it's nothing to panic about at the moment in time. So, as I say, we're all coming through with a great deal of strength, a great deal of support for you. But most importantly, there's a lot of love coming to you as well, because we say you need that at the minute. So I'm going to leave all that with you, sir, and say thank you very much. Is that it? Oh, blimey, O'Reilly. Okay. Hey, Eunice, you've done well. You stopped me before Nick normally does. I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to see you all. It's nice to see so many here. Please continue to support Nick, Linda, Eunice, and I've forgotten all the others' names, the rest of the team. It's not easy getting you different mediums every week, and they always have the doors open with a smile on the face. So please keep supporting them. Bring your friends along, because if they like it, then they'll bring their friends along. And that's what spiritualism's all about at this moment in time. So thank you all for coming. It's been an absolute pleasure. And spirit willing, I'll see you all later in the year. So thank you very much.
Wow. John didn't disappoint again. Thank you, John. That was wonderful. Another round of applause, please, John Ennis. What can I say? Such lovely messages. Some of them I could understand. Some of them I don't know you well enough. Not yet, anyway. So really, apart from, I hope John comes back very soon, because I enjoy watching him work. So for the closing prayer, please join me. Dear Great Spirit and all in the spirit world, as I close this service in prayer, I would like to say thank you to the proof of life eternal that we've seen here tonight. I'd like to thank John and his team for once again a wonderful, wonderful proof of life eternal, and long may it continue for you to be blessed with this gift. I ask that the Great Spirit show us love, comfort, health, and strength. As we leave this hall tonight, may it go with us and stay with us until we meet again under your banner of love. Love, light, and truth. Amen.
Can I just quickly say, it's an absolute pleasure to have you in this chair tonight. It's the first time she's done it. She was absolutely petrified. And personally, I think you did a really good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, John. It was an honour to do it tonight, actually. It would have been a lot easier if Nick hadn't been here, because we could have had a lot more fun. Bless him. But thank you for the opportunity, Nick. I did enjoy it. And we're going to have the raffle in a few moments. So I'll say bye-bye to all those at home. Take care till we see you next week, hopefully. Tea, coffee,